Monster Hunter is a game made by Capcom and was initially released in 2004 for the PS2. The game is about... well, what the fuck do you think it's?
Monster Hunter? What are you doing that?
It's basically a boss battle simulator since that's what you do 98% of the time, with the other 1% being gathering quests, and the other 1% being gathering quests, but not really.
She lied to me! She lied when I had nothing left!
It focuses on 4 buddies trying to take down one big guy, however you can solo the monsters if you want. The difficulty scales depending if you're solo or 4 guys. The real big daddy of Monster Hunter would be Kaname Fujioka, being the director for most of the games, and Ryozo Tsujimoto being the producer since Monster Hunter Freedom 2 on 2007 for the PlayStation Portable, which was released on— oh my god! Also fun fact, Ryozo Tsujimoto's father, Kenzo Tsujimoto, is the founder of Capcom, so you would know how that went down.
Yes, boy.
Its releases back then were initially in Japan with regions such as Na,
You're getting robbed. Suppose I'm getting robbed then.
EU,
We are here! They are there!
Ko, following a few months later. It sold really well in Japan and in Asia because of their culture of using handheld consoles, and didn't really garner a huge Western or global audience because they wanted to play Call of Duty on their home consoles while saying racial slurs at the tender age of 12. James Miekle, writing for PC Gamer at the time, worked for Q Entertainment in Japan during the release of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. And boy, everyone at work would just bust out their PSPs and just go to town. It was the best-selling PSP game at the time, and everyone and their mothers were playing it. The team dreamed big though. They wanted to capture a bigger audience. They knew the game had potential, and with the release of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, or Tri-Ultimate, along with the sales of the Nintendo 3DS going smoothly, they managed to pull in some of the Western audience, but it was still a niche community. Monster Hunter 4 was released and they finally broke 1 million sales in the Western market. Kenzo Tsujimoto was like, nah, we want everybody to play this game. Then comes out the PlayStation 4 and Xbox XX and the Perusonar computer, which was actually released back in 1822. Damn, and they're still making games for this thing, wow. They saw the opportunity and released...
It just looks like...
Monster Hunter! Oh! 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 That's Monster Hunter! Is that Monster Hunter? Tell me that's Monster Hunter! Yeah! Yeah, Ben! Yes! Yes! Ben!
No, this is Monster Hunter! That's Rathalos!
Hindi Monster Hunter! Hindi to Rathalos! Hindi Monster Hunter! I just can't believe that's Rathalos. Dude, this is Monster Hunter! Yeah, that's the Rathalos! This is totally fucking Monster Hunter! Holy shit, yes! Monster Hunter on a home fucking console that isn't the Wii U!
Monster Hunter World was released in 2018 and is still the same game but a lot more convenient and has better controls compared to older gens at least. I only played the games that came out on the PSP, and more recently me and my friend played Monster Hunter Frontier Z, which had these fucking monsters.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
As I said before, this game is a boss battle simulator. You hunt big-ass monsters, well, most of the time, and you desecrate their corpse to make a fancy hat. That's it. You do it over and over and over and over and over again, depending if the desire sensor picks up what you want or not. The desire sensor is a hidden mechanic in the game where it reads your goddamn mind and will refuse to give you the part you actually need and will instead give it to your dumbass piece of shit. You grind armors and weapons whenever you see fit. The weapons aren't locked or bound in some class level up thing, so you can basically try every weapon and get a feel for which one you want to main, as long as you have the parts for it. And trust me, there are lots of weapons available. So there's also good replay value if you want to master every weapon in the game. This game also has a lot of quality of life updates. For example, you have felines that cook for you, so you get a buff. You just pick the ingredients, which have different properties such as meat boosting attacks, fish boosting defense, and veggies boosting elemental resistance, and other stuff activating to help you on your quest.
You what?
Old Gen, however, does give you buffs, but if you pick the wrong combination, you get fucky wucky and get a debuff. Yay. You always do this before a quest so you can get buffs, but just in case you forgot, you can just eat in the camp. Unlike Old Gen, where your dumbass has to abandon the quest. You can also change equipment in the camp, unlike Old Gen, where your dumbass have to abandon the quest. In this game, you have various weapons and armor that you can build to suit your playstyle. The weapon stats you have in this game are raw attack, affinity, which is your crit rate, sharpness so that your hits don't bounce around, and it also has a multiplier for attack, and its element if it has one. With bowguns, you can customize their attachments and stuff, but I don't use bowguns, so I'm not gonna talk about them. Armors have different skills and slots in them, which are also hella important. They not only increase survivability because of their defense and various elemental resistances, or lack thereof, they can also increase DPS with armor skills such as Crit Eye, which increases affinity, Agitator, which increases your attack when monsters are enraged, which is 90% of the time, because you are flinch-shotting them every chance you get, Weakness Exploit, Crit Boost, Attack Boost, and a bunch of other stuff, but these are the main ones you're going to see to deal maximum damage. Different weapons might have slightly different skill builds, but really that's up to you. There are a bunch of armor skills, so just pick what you like or what you need for a hunt. At first, you will have really underwhelming armor skills, of course, and it doesn't really matter that much which armor you go for, but it becomes a really important factor when you go to endgame. Back then, you had to choose between having a mixed armor set that is meta, but probably looks fucking hideous, or being a fashion hunter. I usually try and balance the two. But nowadays, you don't have to worry about that since you can just apply a layered armor to change the appearance of your cute little dress without altering any stats. So we get the best of both worlds. Although you do have to farm materials again and blah blah blah, desire sensor being a bitch, but it is all worth it for the sake of fashion and making your huntress look hot, you absolute degenerate. What the fuck? The gameplay loop is just killing strong monsters to craft strong armor and equipment. This is how to describe the progression in this game as simply as possible. Oh yeah, the thing that you slot in armors to give you armor skills, they're called decorations. And how do you farm decorations, you say? You farm certain quests that drops more decos than normal, and wait for it, it's RNG based! Yay, it's RNG based, so you can guess the mind-numbing farming you have to do to get a good deco piece. Holy shit! You also need to prepare the items that you will use before a hunt. You do this by either buying the items you need, or more commonly, you use the farm to cultivate the stuff you need, usually being consumables, and combining them to make a mega potion, for example. Other stuff includes using a flash bug to make a flash pod, a piece of dung for a dung pod, which can drive a monster away from you when you are fighting. Now you might ask yourself, but random YouTuber guy, you are trying to kill a big ass monster, aren't you? Then why are you trying to drive them away? Because this guy exists. It's because assholes like these guys exist. You might also want to craft a few traps if the monster can actually get trapped. Maybe an herbal medicine if it has poison, Astera jerky if it has bleed, or more realistically if you are fighting an asshole that has an elemental DPS check, and many more. If you came underprepared, then that's okay, you can restock back at the camp. If you came really underprepared, then you need to go back and gather the shit you need. though that rarely becomes a problem. Before you fight monsters, it is also good to check what elemental resistance your armor has. If you are facing against an enemy that your armor is weak against, then you might want to slot in a few decos to counter that element. Not sure if anyone actually does this. I don't, since I am Unga Bunga Longsword main. Maybe you still get hit by the monster's physical attack and you are getting one shot. Maybe upgrade your armor, equip a vitality mantle, or eat for defense up large. Again, I don't actually do any of these since my brain can only hit monsters with a long stick. There are a bunch of cool monsters here. We have the Great Jagras, in case you are into Vor, the Kuluyaku that digs up a blunt murder weapon to murder you with, the Dodogama, which no one actually wants to harm because apparently it is way too cute, the Paolumu, which I hate, the Juratodus, which its entire fucking family tree I hate. Then you get to the cooler ones, Obun, or Rathalos, which is in every Monster Hunter game ever, basically the game's mascot, the Tigrex, which will chase you down, the Deviljho, which is affectionately called the Pickle, if pickles were death incarnates that just eats and beats the shit out of everything in that order. The Kirin, another monster that I hate, which summons lightning, moves around a lot, and is also an Elder Dragon. An Elder Dragon. It's an Elder Dragon. And the Alatreon, also an Elder Dragon, which has a fire state, an ice state, and a dragon state, which it can switch between depending on which phase it is, and requires an elemental DPS check you need to clear, in which case if you fail to do so, there's a move that you cannot run away from, and the only mitigation is accepting death's cold or hot embrace. But other than that, the fight's pretty easy. You can pick whichever monster you think is the coolest. I mean, that is subjective. You can ask anyone in the community which is their favorite monster, and you will get different answers. If they answer old Gen Plesiot, then they are probably trolling. Speaking of the player community, recently it was announced that the new Monster Hunter was in the works, and everyone went wild. It was still expected for them to have a big announcement about the game because it was their anniversary, but people were still hyped. And in light of this, Capcom announced the Return to World campaign, discounting Monster Hunter World at its lowest price to attract more players. Monster Hunter Rise was a more recent release and had the most recent major update, I believe, but they decided to go for Monster Hunter World. And with the player base being a mindless hive mind, when Ryozo Tsujimoto told us, "Go back and play Monster Hunter World," we were like, we will go back and play Monster Hunter World. And whoo boy, did the player base just suddenly whoosh, shut right back up. Before the announcement, me and my buddy were playing World again, and the player community were still having active lobbies, with siege lobbies usually being fairly populated to full even. This tells you how the players love this game in its community, and how new people are still picking this game up. So that alone should tell you how much love this game is getting from both the devs and the players. For me, World is by far the best Monster Hunter game they have released so far. Of course, I still love Monster Hunter Freedom Unite since that is basically my birthplace. Freedom 2 was technically my first Monster Hunter game, but I was a mere child, and the game was way too damn hard for me. Monster Hunter Portable 3rd having amazing gameplay and graphics at the time. I remember scrounging around the internet for an English patch and manually applying it like the little hacker boy that I am. And Monster Hunter Rise with its amazing combat and superb mobility with the wire bugs that makes me feel like a ninja. IGN, 10 out of 10. The biggest upside of Monster Hunter Rise for me was the combat and how it feels so different from the rest of the games I've played. It's much more agile and fast-paced, with you even controlling the monsters to beat up other monsters. But still, nothing can compare when I experienced my first turf war in World, my first environmental hazard in World, vine traps, felines helping me out after a mount, the Gajalaka firing squad. All of the amazing stuff that comes from Monster Hunter World is, well, as the title of the game suggests, comes from the world itself. Monsters don't spot you immediately and will instead look for you, trying to smell you out. You can hide in the bushes or in the smoke, which can both help out in immersion and in actual gameplay. The Rathian chasing down the one who stole from its nest, the Popo protecting its herd and fleeing from any signs of danger and migrating to a new area, the Paratoad getting scared from a Tigrex, scavengers gathering around a Kesodon upon its death. Your hunter feels ingrained into the world, as the combat also has weight and a lot more grounded compared to Rise. The environment is just so rich in detail and never fails to catch your eye. Again, this is with the help of the more powerful hardware, but that won't really matter unless the team behind the game actually cares about all of these small little details. And when everything adds up, you get a world that you can truly immerse yourself with. Why you should play Monster Hunter World? It's because of this.